At the beginning of this project 10 years ago, we knew two things. We knew we had an aging bridge that needed replacement, and with that aging bridge, we knew that we had an opportunity to bring positive change to the community.
As the Buck O'Neill Bridge design and planning was happening, it became very apparent that MoDOT and the neighborhood and the community wanted it to be an active place for everyone, whether you were in your car driving across the bridge or whether you were a pedestrian or someone in the neighborhood walking by the bridge. So over time, the idea became like we should do a mural, to help activate the space.
When MoDOT put out its request for proposals, we generally asked for aesthetic elements to be as part of the proposals. So each of the teams had a say in what that looked like. And so the Massman Clarkson team, as part of their proposal, included murals to be added. And so as a part of the design, we had to look at making sure we had a smooth wall, not one that was textured and things like that. But the second part is murals are not something that MoDOT typically does. And so how do we find a muralist in Kansas City? There's a lot of them around here. And so we needed to find a partner that understood the procurement process for picking muralists. And that's where we were able to find Art in the Loop. And Art in the Loop was able then, with their procurement process, to show us the process, how do we solicit, and how do we find the winning proposal.
Sike Style was selected based on his experience, his ability to blend historical significance with modern vibrancy while embracing the community and honoring Buck O'Neill.
So back in the early 90s, my father introduced me to Buck O'Neill for the first time at the K. And he's like, you got to walk down here to his seat, you got to meet him, you got to shake his hand. And I remember shaking his hand and kind of learning through the years who he was after that moment. But I always remember that my dad was able to introduce me to him. And so what's great is that my dad is also referencing the mural there, tipping his cap to Buck O'Neill, because it wouldn't be really a part of my life unless it was for him. So what does it take to make a mural like this? Oh man, you don't know it until you get out here painting it, but the physicality of it is definitely real. Climbing up and down ladders, going on scaffolding, laying on the ground to paint that little crevice at the bottom, it's definitely tricky, but it's so worth it. Mentally, it's about coming up with that story. How does this all fit together? And tying all these little vignettes and pieces together to one big cohesive moment.
The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. And that's a quote from Buck O'Neill. It's from a gospel song, and he used that quote when speaking to crowds. And he would invoke a call and response singing with that song. And so it's very meaningful. As you come around the corner, then you got to see Buck O'Neill, board number 22. He also sat in number 9 seat of Kauffman Stadium. Then you have the portrait. And as you move through to the north side of the wall, there's other little Easter eggs. There's a bunch of people tipping their cap in respect. And that's what you do in baseball, and they're showing respect to Buck O'Neill. And as you move down the wall, there's Ernie Banks shaking hands with a younger Buck O'Neill. He was the first coach in Major League Baseball of African-American descent. And then as you keep going, you see look on the future and the past of the Monarchs. You have Monty, who is part of the new Monarchs in KCK, but also the old 1942 Monarchs logo, tying those two together. And then, of course, there's a shout out to the old Broadway Bridge with one of the arches being depicted as it kind of makes a rainbow effect into the Negro Leagues logo, which Buck O'Neill was a founder of the Negro Leagues Museum.
And Buck O'Neill definitely was a connector. He was a bridge builder. Insert all the bridge metaphors you want, but it's actually a great fit. And then being able to tell his story visually like he did through words and to his life, it's a great opportunity, and I'm really grateful to have had that.
This mural adds a lot of life and excitement to this part of downtown Kansas City, but this is more unique because of its size and its location under the bridge and the history and the different communities that it's connecting.
When MoDOT does projects, we're looking at asphalt and steel and concrete and things like that. So we're looking at functionally making roads and bridges and things like that. This mural represents something beyond that. It helps to create a destination, something that people want to come see. Not a bridge that you drive past at 60 miles per hour, but something that you want to come to the city street, you want to see the mural, take your picture in front of it, things like that. So it was about much more than just getting people from point A to B, but creating a place for people to go.
And it's a cool opportunity to tell very specific stories in a place like this, in a public setting, you know, with a state agency. It means a lot to be able to work with, you know, Art in the Loop, Massman Clarkson, and MoDOT on telling such a great story that doesn't just resonate here in Kansas City, but really stretches out to the world, which is an amazing opportunity.